Hi, I'm Nicholeen Peck, and I teach all over the world about parenting, good communications through the lens of self-government. In this video, we're going to be talking about self-mastery and how everyone has 3 voices that they need to be aware of in order to control themselves. Everyone has 3 voices. In this video, we're going to be talking about those voices and what type of messages they give us. We're also going to pay attention to which voice is going to bring us the greatest peace and success. For many years now, I have been teaching the principles of self-government. So what is self-government? Self-government is being able to determine the cause and effect of any given situation and possessing a knowledge of your own behaviors so that you can control them. When a person knows self-government, they understand cause and effect related to the way that they think, the way that they behave, and which actions they want to pursue most. When a person does not have a sense of self-government, they just kind of live in the minute with whatever they feel next. Each of these people are listening to voices. One of them is listening to the voice of ought, and the other is listening to the voice of preference or want. Now, these voices can be characterized in multiple different ways. We actually have 3 voices. I'm taking this concept from C.S. Lewis. He wrote a book years ago called The Abolition of Man. In The Abolition of Man, he said that we are all in danger of being taken over by men without chests. He actually wrote this shortly after World War II in his section, Men Without Chests. So what does it mean to be a person without a chest? He's saying a person without heart, or maybe a person without spirit. So our heart voice, or our spirit voice, or chest voice, all of those terms mean the same thing in this particular video, is that voice that actually is representative of the will of the person. And it's the very strongest voice that we have. So let's talk about these 3 voices we have and how to use that will voice best. All right, so here's my little person, my little girl. I know she's got short legs. She got really long on me somehow. And she's got 3 different voices. So number 1, there's this big bracket right here that is pretty much her whole body, right? So that is the body voice, okay? Every one of us has a body voice. What does our body voice do? Well, the body voice is the voice that has all of our chemicals and our senses, our feelings, all of these types of things. This is going to be our cravings. This is going to be where habits and addictions that might not be so great are formed. You know, that I have to have chocolate every day. This is going to be a craving that somebody might develop here. Or maybe, you know, even cravings for other things that wouldn't be good for them. This is where the person's going to be like, but I feel this, I feel cold, I feel tired, I feel hungry, I feel offended, I feel hurt, you know, all the feelings, okay, which are part of our senses sometimes. So the senses, all of the taste, see, smell, touch, you know, hear, all of those things that, you know, might bring awareness to us. These are all part of the body voice. But there's also the chemicals that are part of the body voice. So hormones and anxiety and stress and all that kind of stuff is going to be part of the body voice, okay? Now, this doesn't mean that you're not going to feel thoughts of stress, because that you definitely can. But when you feel stress, that's going to be in the body, okay? All these things plus text. We could add a lot more here about that body voice. So let's talk about this voice up here. This voice up here is your brain voice, okay? And C.S. Lewis calls the brain voice the puppet. Okay, interesting, because he says that the body voice can control the puppet. Also the heart voice, which we're going to talk about next, So here's voice, we should write that there. And then this is heart voice. So heart voice here, the heart voice and the body voice can both control the puppet. So what is the job of the puppet? Well, the puppet does all of the grouping, okay? So it groups stuff and it rationalizes things. I think I just spelled that wrong. Rationalizes. Anyway, work with me on that. It rationalizes things. It gives us ideas sometimes, okay? So this is what the puppet does. But usually when the puppet is working in its puppet way, then basically the senses or the feelings or the cravings or the chemicals, they'll feel something, and then the puppet will say, oh yeah, you know, that's happening because, or whatever. Oh yes, you're validated in staying in bed for another hour or two. You know, it's going to give you a rationale for that behavior or that desire that you might have. But what about this heart voice here? So the heart, which is the center of the person, it's right there in the middle of everything. The blood pumps through it. The air system is connected to the heart, receives its oxygen from the heart, which ends up feeding the cells in the whole body. So this heart is really this key thing in our body. So very symbolic that it's right there in the middle, in the chest. The heart voice represents the will of the person. So the will of the person is the very strongest part of the person. This is the part that also is choosing it between all of the morals, okay? What's right and wrong, good and bad, true and false. This is all chosen in the heart voice, unless some other voice has been able to capture the attention of the puppet. So the puppet is not just controlled by our voices, like the heart voice and the body voice, but it's also controlled by other people's voices. So media, books, ideas, those are all speaking to the puppet, trying to gain control of the puppet. I'm going to get into some detail about how we can focus on using the heart voice more than any of the other voices. But before I do that, click the subscribe button now. There are a lot of great videos on this channel about self-governing, and they will help you and help you teach your children all self-government a lot quicker. So click on the subscribe button now, and don't forget that notification bell too, because you're not going to want to miss when new videos come out on this channel. So let's talk about the heart just a little bit more, and then let's talk about how these three voices work together and how we end up with a problem. So the heart voice truly is the most powerful. It is the one that actually pushes you forward, like to the end of a race. Have you ever been in a sporting event or maybe childbirth, something that's very physically demanding, okay? Maybe you've just been in pain, overcoming, recovering from a surgery or something like that. That takes a lot of heart voice type stamina, unless you're going to be taking pills to just numb you the whole time. If you've got pain or you've got something you've got to endure, you need the heart to let you know you can do it and to push you to the end. So when you are running in a race, okay, or swimming in a race or biking in a race, and your body is spent, the body is not what gets you to the end. Sure, it might be doing the steps or doing the pedals, but in the end, it's the heart that's saying, I can do it a little bit more. It's just over there. Keep going. Keep going. It's the heart, it's the will of the person that pushes that other person forward again and again. So the heart is actually the most powerful of all the voices, okay? Most powerful. The heart voice can push past anything the body is saying. The heart voice can push past any ideas that the puppet might have. The heart voice can say, no, but I will myself to do it anyway. And this is where we see people do incredible things. They get hurt. I remember hearing a story of a woman who had to cut her own arm off out in the wilderness because it was trapped in a rock. She had to cut it off, and she was out in the wilderness. She was very weak because of the pain, of having that arm cut off. And so she'd lost a lot of blood and stuff like that, but she still stayed there and she kept herself alive until someone could find her. I have a good friend, his name's Chad Hymas, and my friend Chad was smashed by a bale of hay for a long time, but he just told himself, no, I've got to keep going. He even prayed. He told God, you got to keep me alive here. And he kept focusing on every breath, telling himself he had to keep breathing to stay alive, even though his neck was crushed and he is now a quadriplegic. Amazing, amazing power that the will has to provide for our emotional needs. Really, it pushes us forward. It helps us tell ourselves we can do more than we think we can. This will is powerful. Now, many people shut off the will because we have been teaching people that the body voice is where it's at, that we should be listening to our bodies, paying attention to our bodies, building our bodies. Well, what does your body want? Well, then that's fine, right? In fact, we have all these movements where people are starting to rationalize the body voice. And I'm just going to tell you, so one other hat that I wear, I'm the head of a women's organization. We work at the United Nations, and in this organization, I've heard some things that make me scratch my head and really make my skin crawl. So there was a time I was at the United Nations, there was a woman there from another country who said, we need to get rid of the stigma of incest and pedophilia. She was actually promoting pedophilia as a normal sexual choice for children. I was blown away. I could not believe it. As a person who's fighting to protect children from abuse and to protect them for their lives, protect their families, I could not believe that I was hearing another woman talk about a child in that way, as if they were just something for sex. And I thought, you know what? She's focusing on this. The whole sex movement, where everything is just about what you want in sex and anything you want in sex is fine, is actually a movement that is all driven by body voice. Just cravings, cravings, cravings. When a person follows their cravings, they become a slave to their bodies. They become a slave. So when they tell their brain that they have to follow the bodies, then the puppet is actually enslaved too. The puppet has been convinced. So then we have the puppet that also becomes a slave. So who's the great liberator for our person? It's the heart. The heart is the liberator, and this is where you find freedom, is when you learn to direct your body and your puppet brain with the desires of the heart. So what are the morals then? We definitely need to focus on that, because a person has to understand their morals so that they know which direction they're headed. So what's right and wrong, good and bad, true and false? People are constantly looking for that. And if we have confused the puppet and we have confused the body, we may never really find the true morals that the heart can really key into. The heart is looking for truth. That's what the heart is trying to find. So this is why people read other great writers. They learn things, they learn principles such as the principle of self-government. That's what I teach all over the world. People come to my trainings because they want to learn more truth about the principle of self-government, because when they learn principles, this helps them morally. This helps their will. It helps their foundation so that they can see what's really true and guide themselves in the right direction. Our children need that. Everyone needs that. This is the recipe to freedom. We live in a time of bondage, more bondage than I've ever seen in my lifetime, because we're listening to the wrong voices. This voice will rationalize the heart voice. It will take you to a new level if you have the will pointed in the right direction and fully engaged. But if you don't, it will just rationalize what your body wants again and again, and it will keep you in bondage. The puppet voice also can start to tell you what to do if it's being controlled by somebody else. Let's not forget that. I hope you see how powerful the heart voice is. The heart voice is truly the voice that we want to pay the very most attention to. It's the voice that makes us happy. It's the voice that gives us gratitude and joy and purpose and connection with other people. It's the voice that values the other people, not for what we get out of them, but just because we know that there's a principle that they are valuable in and of themselves. It's the voice that leads us to give service when we may not want to already. That heart voice or will voice is the voice of charity, compassion, kindness, peace, love, all the things that everybody wants so much now. But it comes from truth. And when we're teaching our children, we've got to give them truth. Truth comes from our actions being in alignment with truth as well. If we are hypocritical or manipulative because we're arguing with them and power struggling with them, they will not see the truth and their heart voice will be underdeveloped. They will just listen to their feelings and their body. We need to teach our children what self-government can be like so that they can find freedom. And it comes from us learning it ourselves. If you would like to learn more about self-government, I have a free starter toolkit for you that I think you're probably going to enjoy. The toolkit is called the Calm Parenting Toolkit. In the description below this video, you'll see a link that says teachselfgov.com/toolkit. Click on that link now and you will get my Calm Parenting Toolkit for free. It is just a beginning. There's a long way to go after that toolkit, but it is 10 lessons, 10 tools that you can start using right now to be calmer, to improve your relationships, and to improve the way that you are communicating with other people so that you can lead out with heart voice and help them do the same. So click on the link now, and I'll see you there.